What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode number 56 this time. I'm Fox2. We got Pirate,
Hey guys.
Topher,
I just went to bed like 4 hours ago.
and the whole effing Brian.
Welcome to the jungle. You gonna die.
I was going to say Topher looks super festive and happy, but then he came out with sounding all like Eeyore-ish.
I can't be festive and tired.
So, well, this is our quote unquote Merry Christmas episode, I guess. Happy Holidays episode. I don't know what you want to title it, but this is going to come out on Christmas Eve. Obviously, we're recording a little bit early, but Merry Christmas to all of our listeners. If you celebrate Christmas, if you don't, then
If not, fuck you.
Happy Wednesday.
Get on board with Christmas.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us.
All right, let's talk about what we've been reading. I, for one, have not had a chance to read a single comic book this week, so that's super exciting.
Wow.
And we'll just go ahead and send it over to Pirate.
Man, I ain't read shit.
Okay. So now we'll fast forward it on over to Topher.
Wow.
Man, I ain't read nothing.
The X-Men corner.
That was a great segment by both of you. It's going to be a tough act to follow, but
Yes, I know. All 7
I'll see what I
seconds
can
of
do.
all 7 seconds of what we've been reading.
Sure, if you speak 10 words out, you got us beat.
Yeah.
Man, why can you never last longer than 7 seconds?
Yeah.
Seconds of thunder.
I didn't know Santa was such a dick.
So last week I had this whole thing like, I thought I was being cute, and I had this whole thing planned out where I was gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of what I've been reading, and I went over a series that I didn't think was so great and that I would call bad at times, and that was the Avengers, and then I wanted to say the ugly one, and I'm like, no, I can't even remember what the hell the other one was, and so I had to go straight to the good, and it ended up being, the Deadpool good, bad, and the ugly storyline. With a week to think about it, I have remembered what it was that I read that I considered ugly, and it was the crossover event, Inhumanity, and like if you've ever gone to bookstore or your comic book store in the book section where they've got like the collected hardcover editions of certain events, there's a lot that have been completely hitting it out of the park. Like
This is not one of them.
A lot of the Batman ones, like Night of the Owls and Death of the Family, and you've got a lot of good crossover events. Even Marvel's Infinity, there was so much stuff to that one, and a lot of it was really good. A lot of it was a little self-important in places, again, with Hickman's Avengers being kind of the main storyline there. But every event that tied into it, every book that tied into it, played a pretty decent role. Well, I was in Barnes and Noble the other day, and I saw the collected hardbound of Inhumanity, and this thing was huge, and it was like $40 or $50 for this book, and I'm like, what the hell all did they put in here? And I flip it over, and I'm looking at the issues it collects, and I gotta tell you, I read most of them, and if I paid money for that shit, that was the most disjointed, all these other books that tied into it. You've got a few issues of Incredible Hulk, and you've got a couple issues of Avengers Assemble, which were good issues, but barely mentioned, the crossover event. They were still doing their own storylines that happened to have, an Inhuman,
Kind of like Trinity of
Inhuman
Sin for
cocoon
Forever
in it.
Evil.
Yeah, and so it's not that they were all bad stories necessarily, but as an event, no, just no. The actual Inhumanity book was only it was only 2 issues. There was an intro issue that if you don't really ever follow the Inhumans or read anything Inhuman, you don't even know who the hell these people are. it comes right out of the events of Infinity, which I feel like that whole event was just setting this up for this shitty crossover. And then the second issue of Inhumanity is like one of the few issues of modern comics that Marvel doesn't have on their Unlimited app. It's not even on there. It's not even available. It's like, way to drop the ball on that one. And then the other, I don't even remember what the hell else was in there. Like just because all these there was some 4-issue Infinity the Awakening, or not Infinity, excuse me. I already forgot the name of the fucking event. Inhumanity,
that good, huh?
Inhumanity Awakening, where you had the younger generation, the students from all the different superhero schools around the world, coming to grips with this, and it's not that it was bad. It was an okay little side, 4-issue limited series, but as a, it was long. It was twice as long as the main, event title, and it was clearly like a little side story. And all the tie-in issues, there was nothing in there to warrant, some like fucking hardbound, collected edition of the event. Like, it was. I don't know. It seemed to me like it was super sloppily executed. I mean, clearly Marvel is all about the Inhumans now, and they're trying to make everything.
Oh yeah, they're trying to market the next thing.
Yeah, so I mean, in a way, I don't blame them, but at least make it good. Like, I understand that that's what you want to focus on, and I understand that that's where you're headed with things, but I don't know. Take some fucking time to do it right. You've got all these disjointed issues of things, like, Superior Spider-Man that ties in with it, and it's like nothing in there was. I didn't like it. It was one of the worst crossover events I've read, like, ever.
Now, was that the one where Thanos is looking for his son?
That was Infinity.
That was part of Infinity too, because I know that was like the Builders and then Thanos and.
Right. Infinity was good. Like, you had the Builders, and so the Avengers all go out into space, and they join, with the Shi'ar and the Kree and the Skrull, and everybody gets together and forms this gigantic galactic council to go fight the Builders. And Thanos goes, no Avengers on Earth? Sweet, time to invade. And he comes in, and then you kind of, the Mighty Avengers spins out of that, because they all come together trying to defend New York, and then Thanos eventually gets, he comes there looking for his son, and finds out that he's part of some, ancient Inhuman tribe that split off from Attilan, centuries ago, and so apparently Black Bolt knows that there's been a bunch of Inhumans secretly mixed in the, in Earth's population over generations, that branched off of their main line ages ago, and so. But Thanos comes after Attilan because he knows that his son is an Inhuman, and demands, the heads of every teenage Inhuman ever. And so Black Bolt decides, no, fuck you, I'm taking you down with me, and detonates this Terrigen bomb and completely blows up the city of Attilan that's floating over New York at the time, and spreads Terrigen mist all throughout the planet's atmosphere, which causes all these, like, that's kind of like the end of Infinity, like, that's the last thing you see of the Inhumans in Infinity, and then Inhumanity is the results of that, that comes out of Infinity. All these fucking events sound alike: Infinity and Humanity. It's hard to keep them all straight, but like, that was a setup for this Inhumanity event, where now you can see, okay, what happens to the Inhumans now that Black Bolt's missing? Does Medusa take over? And you watch Karnak, who's everybody's favorite Marvel character. I mean, you guys know Karnak, right? Yeah. You watch him, like, sit there and try and figure out the meaning of all this and what the future of their race is, and then, like, you get that for an issue, and then you really can't. It's hard to find the second follow-up issue, and then you got a bunch of tie-ins where a few people see an Inhuman cocoon, with someone's turning into an Inhuman, and it's like their own storyline, and that just happens to be a plot device in their
This
comic.
has really got
And it's
Topher's
like-
panties in a twist.
No, I mean,
no, I actually feel it because I'm like, I'm going through this struggle with him. It sounds like as
I
he's
know,
talking, I'm just like,
right?
God damn them, who the fuck Carniac, you know? Like,
I don't even know that motherfucker,
Carniac.
but I don't like him.
I don't like Carniac. I like cognac.
So that was something that I'd read recently that I thought
Clearly didn't like.
it was really sloppy in the way they did it, and I didn't care for it.
Actually,
It was definitely not a good crossover event. I know they're trying to push these Inhumans on everybody, but honestly, it turned me off to them even more because it's like you guys can't even write a good fucking Inhuman story that anyone wants to read, and then you try and sell like it's almost an insult to say, oh yeah, we collected all this shit, and now we think people are gonna buy it for the same price that they buy good stuff for. It's like. I'm honestly surprised the size of this event, just being a 2-issue limited series for the main title and like some spin-off titles. I can't believe that they pulled that into a hardbound collected edition for a crossover. It's like
Do not buy that for a gift.
like minimum effort. Yeah, totally not worth it. Don't do it.
Just buy coal instead. That's like getting coal.
Yeah,
Sounds
it
like-
really like at least coal you can. Well, I was gonna say you can at least coal you can burn to stay warm, but you can burn this book too. So, let's talk about something I enjoyed a little better. I just finished reading Jason Aaron's Wolverine and the X-Men series, and I gotta say that was one of the best X-Men titles I've read. There's like 5 or 6 concurrent, main X-Men team titles going on right now, and this one started before. This was basically like a few years ago. You had the Schism event where Cyclops and Wolverine have their little hissy fit and they split off from each other, and then that eventually leads up to Avengers versus X-Men, the whole AVX event from a few years ago that has kind of been like the status quo for the Marvel universe for a while. So I mean this title actually started back before their whole Marvel Now rebranding and everything, and so when I was trying to catch up to the current modern stuff, I was like, oh, that one started like back then. Like it looks sillier. It looks like more comical. Like looks like it doesn't take itself seriously. Like I can probably skip that one if I'm trying to catch up a little faster. Like I don't actually need to read that title. And then there were some crossover issues where it came into play, and so I picked a couple of those up, and I was like, actually, this is pretty decent. So I went back and so I've been reading every issue of it ever since then, and it's been really fucking good. But it ended earlier this year, and then they restarted with a new #1, and some other guys writing it now. Latour, I'm not really familiar with him. I think it's Jason Latour. So anyway, the last few issues of Jason Aaron's run though, like there was a 3-issue arc where you have Wolverine and Cyclops. Then they both get tipped off about some warehouse that's supposedly holding a bunch of Sentinels, and separately because Wolverine, they hate each other. Well, they hate each other, and Wolverine wants to kill Cyclops, and Wolverine's at his school, and Cyclops is off in some undisclosed location doing his mutant renegade thing. And so they both show up here at the same time, trying to destroy these Sentinels. And you end up having like this 3-issue arc where there's like a parallel story of stuff going back on at the school. And then Wolverine and Cyclops ending up having to sort of team together in the heat of battle, and then having this conversation and kind of duking it out, and then like the aftermath of that, sitting around like talking, like wondering whether they're going to attack each other, where it's going to go, like is anything going to get resolved, and they have a conversation that is one of the best character moments like that I've read in a while. Like it was just so good. Seeing the two of them finally basically sit down and have the conversation and talk about the death of Professor X, and it was like the conversation that I wanted to see those two have for like the last year and a half's worth of comics, and I was like, oh man, this is good. So I really enjoyed that series. There were a lot of great arcs in it. That one in particular, towards the end, there was a highlight. Another book I've been reading again that's still really good is the current Hawkeye series. Has been top-notch quality all the way. Almost current on that one, and it continues to impress. Like Fraction has been writing it like just really well. The art style is really nice. It's just like kind of, I don't want to say mundane because mundane makes it sound boring, but in a world of superhero comics and aliens and this and that, like there's just so much like real world stuff in this comic that like it's approachable in a way that a lot of comics aren't. Like, and I know some people see comics as escapism, fantasy. You get all this stuff that can't happen in real life. There's definitely a fantasy aspect to it, but to see a comic that's almost such a has a lot of real world feel to it. Like it's really impressive to see one done in that universe and still be approachable from like a an everyday perspective,
now,
and actually have it be a quality story.
Now, are you reading that on in individual issues, or is that like a trade paperback situation that you've got?
That one I haven't been collecting, but I've got a
Marvel app.
I've got a Marvel Unlimited subscription,
okay.
So that one I've been reading, on my tablet.
Okay, I got you.
So I'm gonna hit they only have issues, current issues come out 6 months after their paper release. So I'm about to hit the point where I'm caught up and can't read anymore on the app for a while. But yeah, no, I've been reading so much stuff like on that app. Like that app is totally worth it.
I don't know what Pirate's doing with his microphone over there, but it is loud.
Yeah.
As hell.
For a second.
He's
like
rubbing
crackle.
Yeah.
He's rubbing it next to his heart.
My boom is all out of jack. I bumped it, or my mustache hit it. It was like.
Yeah.
Flipped it up.
Your mustache sometimes has like a mind of its own. It just like lashes out and attacks the closest thing to it. And I mean, sometimes microphones are collateral damage.
You'll have that on them big jobs.
Uh huh.
All right, Brian, what have you been reading?
So I caught up with all my stuff this week, but there was one issue that I'll talk about, which was like, as I stretch.
Yeah.
That came out this past week, and it was Batman and Robin. The number slips me, but check your listings for this past week, and it was basically so Batman's been going after Damian died. Batman's been going trying to find a way to resurrect his son. So he found a way through. He had to travel through. Actually, somebody from Apocalypse has one of Darkseid followers has captured his body because Ra's al Ghul put something called the Chaos Shard into his casket. So the Chaos Shard was something that one of Apocalypse followers wanted. So they took his body, which led to Batman putting on this awesome suit called the Hellbat, which was forged by each member of the Justice League, core member of the Justice League in their own way. Like there's in that issue where they explain the suit to you, you see like Superman's like pounding on it with a hammer in the sun. Like Wonder Woman has the Greek god of like blacksmithing or whatever, forging it or something.
Greek god of like blacksmithing or
whatever. Like Aquaman's in like the deepest part of the ocean, like doing something to it. Cyborg's doing something to it. So it makes you think it's this like all powerful suit that he could go toe to toe in Apocalypse with. So this past issue from this past week was Batman going toe to toe with not Apocalypse, Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Like just going toe for toe with Darkseid in this suit that's just like, it makes you think a little bit of like the Venom symbiote, just the way the symbiotes move and stuff. Like you see all the tendrils come off of it. Batman's Hellbat suit is kind of like the same way. Like Darkseid rips the wings off of the back of the suit, and then Batman gives it the computer inside the suit like a command, and the wings just burst out into all these like bats and attack Darkseid.
Wow.
And he's actually like beating the crap out of Darkseid. I mean, not into submission, but they're going like toe to toe with Darkseid as his suit's like destroying Batman a little bit. So he takes the end of the book, he takes the shard, he shoves it in Damian's body, and Damian comes back to life. And like it was like one of those moments, because Damian, like if you guys ever read Batman and Robin and anything with Damian in it, he's like a really cool character because he was raised by the League of Shadows, taken by Batman to be raised as something other than a killer, and like his like journey was like really interesting to read through the years. But that issue alone with Batman going toe to toe with Darkseid was like one of the best fight scenes I've seen in a comic book this year or the past 6 months.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds
And
pretty
supposedly from solicitations, Damian, that shard is giving Damian like some kind of
More
superhuman
power.
powers.
Oh, nice.
Like powers. Like there's a cover with remember the old Superman cover where he's holding the car, we're smashing the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
Action
picture.
Comics one, the first one.
Yeah, for the Batman and Robin issue, Damian's holding the Batmobile in the same position
Nice.
over his
Sweet.
head.
Nice.
They've used a lot, like they've used that scene a lot, like you know what I mean, in different
Yeah.
comics. They had one for
Yeah.
Bane.
Well, I
they
mean,
had one-
it's famous though.
I know it's famous, but I mean, it's like, all right, this is getting kind of redundant.
They
You know what I mean?
do that a lot in comics, though. They'll have like tributes to old covers or
Yeah.
Well,
you
Hulk
know,
one,
classic
yeah.
poses.
The Hulk
Or
one where he's
classic
got
phrases.
where he's got the stone title, Incredible Hulk, like he's holding it up. That's been used like 4 or 5 different times
Yeah.
just in Hulk.
I love
Yeah.
the one of my favorites of that style of shot was probably the Deadpool for Amazing. What was it? That's the first Spider-Man shit. Amazing Tales or not Amazing Tales?
Amazing Fantasy number
Oh,
15.
where he's
15.
swinging with the dude in his arm?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's totally
There's
the
a
rip-off
Deadpool
of,
cover with, I think there's one Deadpool cover with him doing that with Spider-Man in his arm or something like that.
It's
Yeah.
like one of the old Claremont X-Men issues. It was like 138, I think. It was like right after the Dark Phoenix saga, and Cyclops leaves the team, and you've got this picture of like Cyclops walking towards the cover away, you know, with his head hung and his bag over his shoulder, and the other X-Men back in the distance. And there have been like a dozen covers that have all used that same motif when somebody's leaving the team, you know, that like are a tribute to that cover.
I think earlier this year, Todd McFarlane on his Spawn covers used replicated covers from his Spider-Man run.
Oh, really?
Oh,
back in the
you know
90s.
what? I think I did. I think I seen him post that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so before we get into news, I want to talk about something that happened this past week. So first of all, The Hobbit
Wouldn't that be
came out.
news?
Well, kind of ish. Not really. You'll see. So The Hobbit came out this past week. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know who all of the group has seen it. We're not going to do a full review or anything like that. We'll give that a couple weeks before if we decide to do that. But it's such a good story. I feel like we need to go over what happened to Pirate when he tried to go see this. When he tried to go see this movie for a special pre-screening, basically event.
Yeah.
So if you want to walk us through the situation,
I'll give you details of the events here. All right. So, I don't. All right. So, me and my cousin come up with this great idea while we're drunk to see a Hobbit marathon
at a theater,
like in theater in one sitting. And I'm like, oh, it would be so cool, dude. Like, we could watch all three of them, And I'm like, fuck it, let's get tickets. And he's like, all right. So, and tickets weren't that expensive. It was like $27 a ticket for 3 movies. I didn't feel that it was that bad, and it sounded really cool at the time when we
the time
thought of this idea. And plus, it was coming out 2 days in advance
of the release
when the movie was released. So we're like, cool. So and we got our tickets a month in advance. So the day of, me and Fox, we've been busting our ass at work. Like, we've been doing a bunch of overtime and stuff like that. So I decided to put a halt on that and take a half day. And then I left, go meet up with my cousin, and we're like, all right, what are we gonna do? We're thinking like, damn, 9 hours, dude. Do we really want to do this? Like that's a long fucking movie. So obviously we're like, all right. They got us locked in there with the cafe and all this stuff, and it's only like 15 minutes intermission between each film. So we're like, that's a long time to go without, eating or drinking anything and having to pay their prices. So we're like, fuck this. So we go to the liquor store, buy a couple pints, a couple bottles, keep in the car, stuff like that. We're like, all right, this is going to be a good time. We're going to make this work. So we get in there. The movie was scheduled to start at 1 p.m. We're sitting there. 1 p.m. comes around, nothing. The lights are still on in the theater. There's only like maybe 30 people in this theater, which is probably due to the fact that nobody is really dumb enough to sit through 3-hour movies consecutively. I thought, there was 2 chicks dressed up like elves or something, and that was it. And then we're sitting there, about 1:15 comes by. This guy comes out like, hey, just give you a heads up. We're trying to get the projectors to work. It worked last night. We did a test run of it. Everything was fine. So we're going to try to reboot these projectors. We're just like, all right, I'm thinking like reboot a computer, whatever, Well, 15 more minutes go by. It's now 1:30. He comes back out, still having an issue. We're going to try to, we got another theater going, as a safety thing. Well, first of all, before this happened, I knew this was kind of weird because all of a sudden the movie went from just a regular showing to a 3D showing. Like, as we're walking and showing them the tickets, they, giving us glasses and stuff. They said, yeah, we decided to put it on this projector. So I thought that was kind of weird right out the gate. So 1:30 goes by, nothing. About 1:45, 2 o'clock comes by. They're like, okay, so here's the deal. The security authorization code is not being taken by the projector. So we've re-downloaded it on another film, which could take, several hours to do. And we got a projector guy coming in. And we're like, all right, cool. So they got an on-call fix-it guy. The fix-it guy, he's like, where's the projector repair guy coming from? And the guy's like, Fort Wayne, Indiana, which in location us, we're in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Fort Wayne, Indiana is, only the state next to us, but it's at the very top of the state. Like, it's closer to Canada probably than fucking where we're at. So he's like, okay, well, it's going to be about 3 hours. Well, it's more than that. It's 3 hours for the download and probably 3 or 4 hours for him to get to Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And you've already been sitting in the fucking theater waiting on this thing for an hour.
We could have made it through the first film already at this point. So we're like, all right, the guy's like, we'll give you some re-entry, tickets.
Say, at that point, they should give you like a free ticket, like, hey, go watch another movie and come back, and the projector guy still won't be.
Hold on. So, there's all kinds of people yelling shit. This one dude's like, he's like, if you guys want to go watch another movie, that's fine. We'll come get you when it starts. We're going to show it no matter what. We're going to play all of them. He's like, projector guy's like, I'm showing this marathon come hell or high waters. So this one dude's like, everybody's sitting in the theater. You're like, oh, I want to see Exodus. I want to see this. And somebody's like, Star Wars 7, or and the guy's like, if I could do that, yeah. But so, anyways, we're like, screw it, we'll sit around for a little bit, and then the guy finally comes out like, look, it's gonna be a long time. Like, if you guys want to watch another movie, fine. We'll give you re-entry admissions for a 3D ticket. We'll refund your money. You guys want popcorn, drinks? I mean, they're just giving us the house at this point. So, me and my cousin were like, fuck it. All right, let's just go get a refund. We'll go back to the house and we'll just watch our versions of the 2 films we have. And then come Wednesday, we'll take our re-entry code and go watch it. So we're in line, and everybody's like, I think Big Hero 6 was out, and Exodus, and that was really about Horrible Bosses 2. There wasn't really much that I'd wanted to see at that point. So we're getting in line, and then there's people in front of us wanted to go see Big Hero 6. Well, the guy's like, yeah, that projector's having an issue too. So they got shit on twice.
What's your third choice, asshole?
Yeah, right. We got cable TV in the lobby.
Right. So then we're sitting there, and the line, we had to wait through all these people to get their re-entries and stuff. And then I had just recently got a new check card. So I had them, they was worried that it wouldn't refund that check card, even though it was the same account and stuff. So, literally I just got refunded for it yesterday, and this was last Monday. So it was a pretty shitty experience, nonetheless. And I still never made it back to go see the. I haven't seen it yet. I still have my ticket, but
still haven't seen it.
It was North Korea.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm like, fuck, they're getting us so. Now they're fucking me personally.
All right, no sense in burying the lead. Then let's just jump right into it. This is something I'm sure everybody that listens to this podcast expected us to chime in on this to some degree.
I'm so wrong.
I'm so wrong. So let's just do a quick recap here. Sony got hacked. Thousands and thousands of emails, business emails, personal emails, personal information, scripts, whole movies, pay stubs. All of this stuff got taken from Sony. Basically, the hackers threatened Sony, saying that unless you cancel the release of the movie The Interview, then there's going to be some sort of attack. And Sony folded and canceled the attack. Now the United States, now the FBI is naming North Korea as the hackers for sure. And President Obama said that Sony made a mistake by backing down.
Didn't he say something like, "Oh, they should have came to me first before making the movie"?
Because he's got great foreign policy.
So,
Obama, we're making this movie about killing Kim Jong-un. Can we make it?
Yeah, right. How do you think
They
that's
originally asked. They asked James Franco and Seth Rogen. They said, would you consider not killing him in the movie? And they were like, no, not at all. And they were like, okay, well, we'll go ahead and do it that way, but we don't know what's going to happen. And then when the threat came out, Sony left it up to they canceled the premiere because the premiere was specifically mentioned in the threat. But they left it up to the individual movie theaters as to whether or not they were going to show the movie or not. And both AMC and Regal, and then the next top three movie theater companies in the country, whose names I can't even remember, all pulled it. And said they weren't going to show it, at which point Sony was like, all right, fuck it, we're just not going to release it.
Well, they're catching a lot of flack from it, too, because there was theaters that had this scheduled, made the decision, well, you know what, if we can't show that one, then we're going to stick it to the man, and we're going to show Team America, a special Team America showing on Christmas Day, and Paramount Pictures actually pulled that movie and forbade theaters from showing Team America. They took the rights away from the theaters. Won't let them show Team America on Christmas either. Even though that's already released, it's already like in the hands of the public. Like this is, it's getting to the point where, you know, we're looking very weak as a community, as a people. You know, it's pretty sad. Although one before we go further into this, Larry Flint has offered to distribute the film for Sony.
Oh, good old Penthouse.
Yeah.
So,
but don't we have a policy?
Two things on this is that they have, first of all, yesterday at 4:04 p.m. after Obama made his statement, there was it was said Sony Entertainment CEOs tell CNN's Fareed Zakaria, we have not backed down, not given in.
Yeah,
because Friday also, after they pulled the movie, Friday morning of this, Sony received another letter saying that you have to, it was a good, you know, we think you made the right choice pulling the movie, but now you need to pull out all trailers, all posters, all internet, anything. Basically, you need to wipe this out of existence as it never happened.
Otherwise, we're going to do it anyway.
Don't we have a policy that we don't give in to terrorists?
Well, that's the government.
That's
not
a government thing,
private,
though. That's never applied to. You know, there's no mandate that corporate or private entities have to do that. You know, I mean, as a government, we don't negotiate with terrorists. You know, but like the problem is, it's not the government.
Well,
this isn't the army. This isn't like we need a strong response as a country. This wasn't the government backing down on something. You've got a company who, you know, is releasing a movie on Christmas Day, and I mean, sure, you know, you nobody wants to say, well, we let the fucking terrorists win. You know, you pull the movie, the terrorists win. You know, you can make that argument, but at the same time, you can make the argument of what happened if they did show it and some idiot jackass blew up a fucking theater. Like, they would never get over the bad press of releasing it under, you know, with the current climate.
What happens if, and I'm not saying that, you know, first of all, let me just, for legal reasons, let's just clarify that we have nothing to do with any of this. This is all conjecture and opinion only. But what would be to happen if you know, they do pull the movie and then some crazy person out there does something stupid anyway? Now you've given in to what the terrorists wanted, and there's been something bad happen, so it's a lose-lose situation.
It is, but here's the part you're missing, and it's.
And you've proven to the terrorists that they can effectively get what they want by just making demands.
Okay. Yes, it sets a precedent that, you know, like, hey, we did something because some jackass that may or may not actually be North Korea posted somewhere something saying we're gonna blow some shit up. You know, so yeah, clearly that's not like you don't want to set that precedent, but you're missing the point. You're standing on a theoretical, you know, academic ground. You know, and making a philosophical point about what should or should not be done. Sony's making their decision from a financial standpoint. They're already in a really vulnerable, weakened state with the hack and everything that got released and all their emails getting made public, and Sony stock is already probably in trouble over that, and they're really vulnerable right now, and the last thing they need is to say, no, fuck this, we're putting the movie out anyway, and then have people die because they simply released a movie. Okay, you know, like, and I know that it wouldn't be Sony's fault, you know, like, I'm not blaming Sony, I'm not saying that would be their fault, and, you know, but you know the press backlash from that would be unrecoverable, and so everyone at Sony who's making decisions as corporate officers are saying, look, this is bad for our bottom line. Sure, you know, it sucks to let the terrorists win, and I don't think any of them wanted to pull the movie, but there's no way they sat around, you know, in some board meeting and said, Well, if we released it anyway, and then, some nutcase did blow up a theater and people died seeing our movie, like, the press wouldn't be that bad, would it? Like, we wouldn't get any of that blowback, would we? Yeah, of course they would. Somebody in the press would say, "Well, should some response?" You're gonna have like some
Yeah.
asshole like Sean Hannity up there. Well, should some responsibility be placed on Sony for all this? They had the facts, they had the information.
It
and
sounds
they
like a
chose to
Pierce
release it
Morgan
anyway.
comment to me.
They basically killed him. They killed him themselves. They may as well have pulled the trigger.
Well,
You're gonna have some asshole pundit who blames Sony for this. So I mean, I don't blame them. I don't see how, as a company, you say, yeah, we're willing to take on any public perception of liability if something goes wrong with this.
well, my bottom line is North Korea or these terrorists, whoever they are, dropped the ball. Because if I was them, I'd have been like, hey, Sony, give Spider-Man back to Marvel or we're going to blow some shit up.
Right.
And everybody would be happy.
I think too, though, no matter what happens, if they don't show it, like they're in a tough bind regardless.
They're going to end
because-
up releasing it, and this movie's going to make a ton of money.
Well, I don't think even if they don't release it, they're also. I mean, you have not companies, but you have organizations like hacktivists, or like Anonymous or whatever is going to say, you know what? No, this movie needs to be released. Like, and then they're going to get hacked again because Sony has a horrible infrastructure. I don't know how many times in the past 4 years they've been hacked to where it's
Oh, yeah.
serious
Yeah.
shit.
PlayStation Network or their
Everything.
their
Credit
shit.
cards. I mean, they don't do anything. I mean, they brought this on themselves to have their weakened infrastructure, but Anonymous will hack them and do the same thing that North Korea or GOP or DOP, whatever it is, did to them, and the movie's going to be shown anyways. You can't stop that ball from rolling. I mean, they're in a tough bind because what happens if they get hacked again by another said group who says, you know what, no, this is, this needs to come out, and it gets shown, and then is Sony going to catch backlash anyways? What
No,
if let's use Anonymous as what if they hack into their system, take the movie, upload it anyways to the internet, and then not only do they get no money for releasing it, now everybody's going to have downloaded copies of it, and the movies, and then North Korea is still going to get all butthurt, and they're going to go forward with what they planned on doing anyway.
North Korea will get butthurt, and people are like, the movie's gonna get out. Like, whether
Yeah.
Sony releases it on disc or whether somebody hacks it and releases it, the movie is gonna get out. There's no question of whether we're gonna see the movie. Everybody's gonna see the fucking movie at some point. The question is whether Sony does something to put it directly somewhere, specific locations where people could be in danger.
Right.
You release it as a Blu-ray to stores, people watch it in their houses, buy it from Walmart, Best Buy, wherever the fuck people go shopping and get it at. No one's going to put that on Sony. If like somebody blows up a Walmart, hell, I know a lot of Walmarts that could use a good blowing up. Nobody's going to put that on Sony.
No. Striking that from the record.
Imagine
No.
if we went to war over a James Franco and Seth Rogen movie.
Yeah.
Could you imagine 50 years
A
That's
bunch of
terrible.
poopy and duty and dick jokes.
Okay.
You mentioned the Spider-Man thing. As part of that Sony hack, some emails actually came out detailing some of Sony and Marvel's negotiations over Spider-Man and the MCU. There was a rumor a couple months ago that they were talking, and possibly, in the wake of how crappy Amazing Spider-Man 2 did, that Sony was going to possibly scrap their movie plans and work with Marvel Films, Marvel Studios, to possibly on a licensing deal to get Spider-Man involved in the MCU, and later on they said that those talks ended up falling through and that it's not going to happen, and Sony's going to keep doing their own thing. But some details came out about how it would have played out, and it basically would have been Marvel wanted to make Peter Parker like high school age again, have like a younger actor do it, have him starting out as a superhero around the time of Civil War, and like Tony Stark would have given him his first Spidey suit, his first costume, and then he would have played like a role getting like recruited either on to either side for Civil War. and then Sony would have made like a standalone movie about him that focused on him and Aunt May, and then he would have supposedly played like a bigger part come Avengers Part 3, like the two-part Infinity War, that Spider-Man would have been a major character in those movies at that point. So they kind of had like a written out plan, and it sounded really cool. It's like, oh man, that would have been cool, but no.
Who knows?
So I'm hoping though that they're so financially weakened, Sony, with this hack, that they need some money, and they're like, fuck it, here.
$1.
We will. Well, I mean, it's going to command a pretty hefty price tag, but I bet Marvel would pay it.
Yeah, I would think so.
If they made an offer, I can't see Marvel not entertaining an offer, however ridiculous it is.
Yeah. So
One
another
can always
piece of news. So we've talked about the Game of Thrones episodic video game that was released and got really good reviews. This company, Telltale, that makes those games must be doing really, really well. They have announced that they're going to be doing a Minecraft story mode episodic game as well. So that's pretty exciting. But the bigger bit of news, as it pertains to Minecraft, I feel, is that the creator of Minecraft recently outbid Jay-Z and Beyonce for a mansion home. It was
Wow.
$70 million.
$70 million.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of people play that game. I mean,
That game is a
it's
huge
endless
moneymaker.
fun.
Yeah. Huge moneymaker. That's
Wow.
crazy. How crazy is that, though? That it's basically it's like new age Legos, essentially, because that's all that game is Legos, essentially.
Yeah.
And the guy that created this game, which is not graphically complicated whatsoever, it's not, it's extremely simplistic in the controls. It doesn't really demand much of whatever platform you're playing it on, whether it's PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, or the PC. Cell phones.
Yeah, the cell phone
I mean,
companion.
this is a very, very low-end game, but he has made so much money on this that he can outbid not one, but two of our generation's most famous pop stars.
Most loaded pop stars too.
Like,
Yeah, I think they're the highest grossed musical artists.
that is just, to me, that is just absolutely
Well,
mind-boggling.
you know what? It's what I thought was crazy about that fucking game is, like, the first time I played it was about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago or so, and Brian was playing it.
We were all playing
like,
it mostly.
oh no, do what?
We were all playing that mostly.
Well, but I never played it, and I was like, what the fuck is this game? I was like, isn't that just some game where, like, it's like a souped up Dig Dug? And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, I downloaded it, and Fox was downloaded, and I played it. I was like, this is... I mean, we'd be playing it, and it'd be like, 3 in the morning. I'm like, holy shit, I've been playing this. I've been digging down for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, like that's the fucked up thing about that game is, like, you sit down and play it, and it's not that, it's really not that fun. I mean, it is fun, but there's just not much to it. Like, and you all of a sudden you look over at the fucking clock and you're like, I've been sitting in this chair and haven't eaten or drinking anything in like 9 hours. Like, what am I?
And then all of a sudden there's a castle.
And I forgot that drinking's not even a word.
Oh my
but
god!
That game, like, it gives you so much. Like, at times it can give you so much vertigo.
Yeah,
Because
it's
you build all the way down looking for diamonds, and all of a sudden you're like, I have no idea where you are. You start to panic like it's real life.
I know.
How am I gonna get back?
How am I going to find my way back out of this video game?
I'm almost
The
dead.
moment
Just my
lava
booze
starts
run out.
slowly leaking out, you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh
Lava,
shit.
lava, lava,
Like,
lava.
Brian, where you at? Fox, where you at? I'm about to die.
Have you ever played this game, Topher?
Yeah, I played it.
It just
it's
sucks
funny.
you in.
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't care for it. Like, I played it like soon after it first came out. Like like way back whenever the hell that was. I played it before it was cool, but no. In all honesty, I played it.
Hipster.
I played it before it was cool. Not trying for any credibility there. Just the fact that like I'm saying like there wasn't the hype built around it. Like some people were like, "Oh, this is really fun," and without the big hype machine and it being so popular, I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's another game with shitty graphics, and you do mindless stuff and try and build and like, oh my god, this takes forever. Like, no, fuck this. This is dumb. I'm out." And I played it for like an hour, and then I never touched it again. And because at the time it wasn't some big thing. It was like it was like something stupid that a few people were doing to pass the time, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not wasting my time with this.
Well,
and now it's like this fucking
really
huge phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean,
I like what made it good because we would have like 7 or 8 of us playing it all on the same server on PS3, and it was just.
It was fun. You're just hanging out with your friends.
Well, I partially agree with Topher, and they had this game released at Alpha, and you could play it for free, and it would be free up until the game came out, and it was a while before it got to beta. And I put it down, and then when it came out on PS3 and we were all downloading it like mad dogs in heat, it became fun again because they had a multiplayer system, they had more in the game. So I'm just like, Minecraft was fun.
Some of these computer like online servers for Minecraft, they are generating obscene amounts of money. They use the whole like pay for power type of scheme, to where you can make donations to the server and you get certain gear or resources or whatever it might be. But some of these things I've done a little bit of research, not a lot, but I've seen some of these that are pulling in like $5,000 to $10,000 a month.
I'm pretty sure that Minecraft is like the #1 like game as far as like people making like gaming videos, YouTube videos, like Twitch, like people watch people do Minecraft on Twitch, just streaming it. Like it's like the #1 game to watch other people play. Like I thought it was boring enough playing it myself. Like watching other people build their shit. Like, oh my god, shoot me.
Well,
like,
it's also a lot of times I used to watch it on YouTube, not mostly for people playing it, but some of these people, like besides original structures, some of these people recreate stuff from pop culture,
that's pretty
like
neat.
the Enterprise.
I have watched a few videos where people made like some really incredible stuff. It's like, wow, that must have taken a really long time. That's kind of impressive. But then like I don't really want to watch them play. It's like it's cool to see what they built, what they created. Like I'll watch a video where you give us a tour of the end product, but like watching people play that game is like it's mind-numbing.
Yeah.
I remember the pirate ship that Turtles.
Yeah,
built
we
for
had
me.
we had a pretty nice pirate
that
ship,
server,
and then the server crashed.
deleted itself.
Yeah.
It was so
That was
shitty.
like when the game first came
Yeah, it was
on.
pretty buggy then, but
Yeah.
I haven't played it. I might have to jump on Minecraft at some point.
I'm-
Maybe
I'm
we can
down.
try and orchestrate some kind of. Topher, you have a PS3 too, don't you?
Yep.
I
Maybe
do
we'll
not
have
a
to
PS3 anymore.
organize some kind of live streaming to Twitch, Comic Book Nerd Nation Minecraft session or something.
And you can teach me how the hell to play.
Yeah,
Teach me how to
we can-
Dougie.
We can probably orchestrate that. Maybe after the new year, maybe we can talk about trying to do something like that. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you have a PS3 and you'd be down to play some Minecraft with us on Twitch.
Too bad that's not cross-platform because I don't have a PS3 anymore. I might have
you
to
are
pick one up.
fail.
Or if you have an extra PS3 you're willing to donate to the whole F and Brian.
Or if you have a PS3 that you're willing to donate to Whole F and Brian, let us know in the comment section. All right, well, that's about it for this week. Merry Christmas. Thanks for all of your support throughout the year. Every Wednesday, we're going to continue having episodes. We've got some new ideas that I'm going to pitch to the guys for 2015. Hopefully we'll have some more guests coming on here before too long. Since con season is finally wrapped up, once we get through the holidays, schedules will start slowing down. We can try and get some more artists and writers back on the show again. I'm Fox 2. We got Pirate.
See you guys.
We got Topher Santa.
So we're skipping the one news thing that actually had to do with a comic book. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll get to talk about it next week.
Uh-oh.
And the whole Evan Bryan.
Yeah. Chicken.
Yeah. Chicken. See you guys.